Happy Hoarder here, and welcome to my May the 4th Be With You decor. I'd like to thank Marna from Dolls Rescued for putting together this challenge. This has been a lot of fun to do with my son Ross. So thank you, Marna, for thinking of all us Star Wars fans. So I decided that my May the 4th Be With You decorations would be a tablescape, and I chose a very simple table setting with a glass plate and a Pilsner glass for a little beer and pizza set up with extra napkins because you make a mess. And then I have my son's Death Trooper cup because I borrowed some stuff from them for this setup. Speaking of sons, my younger son is here to tell us about this beautiful table setting. It's actually a game. Go for it, Ross.
Behold, this is Star Wars Armada. It is a tabletop game made by Fantasy Flight Games, and it is primarily giant ship battles from Star Wars. So you have stuff like Star Destroyers and TIE Fighter squadrons and X-Wing squadrons and MC-80s and CR-90s and a whole bunch of other ships. And so for this, I've created some of my own terrain, including taking little bitty lava rocks and flying base stands and painting the lava rocks to make them look like asteroids with their little pits and holes in them and a bit of dry brushing. Yeah. And then I also took one of my Star Destroyers and
now, there's a story behind there, yeah. Tell unintentional story behind this.
So if you look at this ship right here, this has a very specific bridge on it. It's an Imperial 1 class Star Destroyer. I tried to modify this ship originally without understanding how to make it into this ship by removing its bridge. Well, I removed it incorrectly and drilled a hole through the ship. So after I drilled a hole through the ship, I got another Star Destroyer to make the conversion, which turned into this one, and then eventually took this one and cut it to pieces and made it into terrain. So as you can see, it has blast marks on it, a blown out shield generator, the original hole that was cut through. One of the engines is missing, which is right here off to the side.
So this is stuff you ought to fly through and try to avoid as you're maneuvering yourself across the board?
Yes. So as you can see, I split it up into multiple pieces.
I like the little smoke things that he made.
And I've got magnetic smoke tokens.
Yeah, and they were made out of...
It's
batting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's batting. Yeah. It's what you put in it. It's teddy bear stuffing.
Yeah. That's batting. Oh,
and
yeah,
then,
stuffing. Oh, yeah, just the fluff. That's right.
And
he painted it.
Grating on the inside that I glued in to give it a more metallic understructure. Mm-hmm. And then fuel tanks inside of here. There and right there. Mm-hmm. So just something to give it internal detail so you actually look inside of this thing and see that there is stuff to be seen.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we're having a very logical conversation about whether things would be on fire in space. My son's answer to that was?
In theory, that the big question of Star Wars is that, like, for instance, we're in an asteroid field right now. A lot of people argue that asteroids aren't that close together like you see in Star Wars, because if you look at our asteroid belt, it's not that close together. But there's the, quote, our asteroid theory of that if you are only looking at our asteroid and not a galaxy far, far away, it's a completely different galaxy, and that there may be oxygen in space. And the other thing is that it may also be plasma fires caused by the fact that they have a giant reactor that's outputting a lot of energy throughout the ship, and that a shot through it may have shorted a wire and caused it to start burning insulation.
Mm-hmm. Now talk about how does the game played?
The game is played between 2 players typically, although you can expand to 3 or 4. And it's played in 6 rounds. Everybody has X amount of points between them to determine how they want to make their fleet. The fleet are typically devised of ships and squadrons. And then each ship has 2 attacks, and each squadron has an attack or a move. But, of course, if they're activated by a ship, they can move and attack. The whole thing is very tactical. It's very much like chess. It's once you move one ship and then the other team moves the ship and then back and forth like that, rather than one whole side moves and then the other whole side moves.
Right.
And so each ship has a lot of personality to it based on the weaponry that it uses. So a lot of ships have the 3 different types of dice: red dice, blue dice, and black dice. Red dice go out to long range, blue dice go to medium, and black dice to close. they each have their own personality between the dice, and that while red dice go out further, they have a tendency to be more accurate and less accurate. They're very volatile as dice. Blue dice, you'll always get something useful, either a hit, a critical, or an accuracy to prevent people from basically tanking damage. And then black dice, which are very likely to get you a hit or a hit and a crit, but also kind of have a chance to miss. So as you get closer,
critical.
A crit being critical. As you get closer in, those black dice can do more damage, but you have to get closer in to do that, which brings you into black dice range of another ship. So a lot of ships have their own personalities because it's not only the firepower that's in the arc, but it's the size of the arc. A Star Destroyer, for example, has a very wide front arc. In the case of this Imperial 1 class Star Destroyer, it has 3 red, 2 blue, 3 black, which means it's got, as it gets closer, it gets more deadly. The side arcs are 2 red and 2 black, so not as hefty as the front arc, but still considerable, and then the back arc is a red and 2 blue. This Architons right here has a very narrow front arc with only a black and a red, but the sides have 3 red, and they have this very strange side arc, which means that this is a broadside ship. It wants to get beside something, and because it has 3 red dice, it can attack at long range. If you can kind of see by the way I've set it up, this one's going to kind of go through here and try to kite around because it doesn't need to charge straight in.
Mm-hmm. So you know this because of all the cards that come with them. There's cards involved in this game as well.
There
right?
is.
Is that just for you to know what you're playing?
It is. Every ship has 2 variants of it, except for the Star Destroyer, which has 4 variants. And so each variant has a bit of a change between the two. Some ships, like for instance the Architons, has the most minimal change between both variants. The cheapest variant, which is the one that's here, it's I wouldn't say it's the best one, but it's the normal variant. You can field it and maybe put 1 upgrade on it, and it's perfectly fine. You're not going to field the second one as likely because it's a little more expensive and doesn't change all that much. The Imperial class Star Destroyer, between all 4 variants, they are all 4 different missions. The Imperial 1 can act as a carrier, but can also get closer in and kind of still put up a fight. The Kuat Drive Yards refit it takes the same stats as the Imperial 1 as far as firepower, but it gives it missile upgrades, which makes it much more devastating. It also has a defensive retrofit that makes it want to stay alive more, which means that you're going to charge that thing full into your enemy and then start destroying. The Simoon 1 refit is far more of a Ranger one. It has 5 red dice and 2 blue dice from the front arc, which means it wants to stay at long range. You pretty much have to
be cooking at a higher temperature to play this game because it is a lot of complicated stuff. But I do want to, because I know you have to be somewhere, and we can talk about this all day, and we're going to keep this video a little short. Hang on. I'm going to, if I can get the focus on it. All right, so talk about your painting of these little tiny, put your hand on there to show how tiny these little ships are.
There's a thumb. So these 3 ships I have painted. This one I have not. And so what I've done is they start, whenever you buy them, they look something like this, except with where you see the gray kind of on the front is orange. For this one, it was simple.
Over the X-Wings because I'm coming down.
It was simple because I just put gray over these spots like you see in the show. So nothing big, no major changes, just kind of a diluted version of it. The second one is red. I've had to paint all the orange over with red to give it the more distinct version of the show to let it pop more.
Yeah, now wait, you're saying show. Which show is this?
These 2 are from Star Wars Rebels. There's technically a third.
Which is the series.
Rebels is a series.
Yeah.
And then this last one is also from Star Wars Rebels. This is the Liberator.
And did you paint the blue on the Liberator? Was already painted?
I painted the whole thing. So these were kind of touch-ups on these. This was an entire repaint because I had to paint this very specific
different
pattern.
Shade of gray too. You painted him more of a white.
Yeah.
Lighter shade of gray. Yeah.
A much whiter white. And so it's got this very specific face pattern that took many, many hours to try to perfect, with these very thin white lines in the bridge. And then these little spots of blue right there. This one little panel that's blue. Parts of this are gray, but then some of it is white because it's been replaced with panels that just haven't been painted over yet. And then the back of it was gray. This originally came out
So, okay, so let's talk about the stands real quick. Because it's get on 10 minutes, but what are the stands show you all of your scores?
The stands will show you, I take this off. So this is the front firing arc, which has 2 red and a blue. It has 2 shields in the front. This is the side, which has a red and a blue and 2 shields, as you can see right there. And then the back has 1 red. It has
And that red correlates to the die?
Yes.
Okay.
It has 4 health right here. So it's a small ship. It's going to have a little bit of health. 4 is not bad. This right here, that blue die, is your anti-squadron. So anti-squadron, if you have multiple squadrons in an arc like this, instead of attacking a ship...
X-Wings yet.
Maybe someday. Instead of attacking one ship with your primary armament, you can instead use flak and roll a blue die against every single one that's in your arc. Larger ships, like, say, this, have...
Now, you didn't even distress this one, or is that exactly how this one came?
That's how this one came. Okay. That is the stock variant. I do have a painted variant, but I chose this one instead. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing stuff. Speaking of games, he's off to play another game.
Yep.
But D&D, yeah, brings back my old college days. Oops. Anyway, just wanted to show you how awesome my table turned out. Thanks to my son and his setup here and his game. And he's so proud to show all his good stuff off. And you normally like to play as...
Oh, I normally play as Empire.
As the Empire.
Empire's
But you have another game that you played, which was Legions, but he didn't have all the... Well, it didn't have the ships. We definitely wanted to look at the ship. It's mostly people, so that he has painted, and they're incredible. Send me some pictures. I'll post them on the video.
I will.
So they're just a lot of fun. It's just a totally different take on the May the 4th be with you Star Wars display challenge thing that we're doing. So thank you so much for helping me. Can I show your face in here?
Sure.
Are you doing me? We'll go sit at the table. Get like you're eating there. There he is. There's my handsome son. And his, don't estimate the power of the Air Force. Yay, because he is in the Air National Guard. And you are what? You can take a picture. E4? Yeah.
E5 by the weekend?
E5 by the weekend. He's working his way up. Yeah, so this was fun. Thank you for helping me with this. I really like it.
No problem.
Love you.
Love you too.
One of the hardest things about letting your kids go is the time when they would spend playing this game. They would play the soundtrack from Star Wars, and then they would be back there talking and strategizing and playing this game. And it was just great to have them in our home and doing those fun things and just kind of sitting around listening to them play. Didn't really watch them play because that was a very complicated game, but it was fun hearing them talking and all in the dining room while we were sitting in the living room. Miss those days. what we failed to mention is that May the 4th is also the anniversary of my son and daughter-in-law's wedding. So we had a very special rehearsal supper with all the combined decorations of Star Wars and Harry Potter. And the wedding reception was really blown out with Star Wars and Harry Potter decor and food. So it was a lot of fun. So happy anniversary to Ross and Alicia, and may the 4th be with you always. Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't, and leave me a comment because I would love to hear from you. And hit that notification button because sometimes I make really good videos.